When the Krellian Empire attacked Earth expecting easy prey, they discovered humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology, it was patience. The massive Galactic Council chamber hummed with unprecedented urgency as emergency broadcasts flooded in from across the galaxy. Chancellor Vexus, his crystalline form refracting the chamber's ambient light into prismatic patterns, stood at the central podium with an expression that would have been grave on any species capable of conventional facial expressions. The holographic displays surrounding him painted a picture that seemed impossible to the assembled delegates. Esteemed council members, Vexus began, his voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. We have received confirmed reports that the Krellian Empire has launched a full-scale military assault on Earth. The human homeworld, 3 battle fleets comprising over 900 vessels are currently engaged with Terran forces. The reaction was immediate and visceral. Ambassador Thylix, the Reptarian delegate, whose species had been spacefaring for over 3 millennia, shot up from his hover seat with such force that his environmental suit stabilizers whined in protest. Chancellor, with all due respect, this intelligence must be flawed. The humans are barely emerging from their technological infancy. They've possessed faster-than-light capability for what? 50 of their rotations around their star. Counselor Zareth, representing the Hive Mind Collective, interjected with the characteristic clicking of her species' communication method overlaying her translated words. The ambassador speaks wisdom. The Krellians may be known for their aggressive expansion policies, but they are strategic in their conquests. Why would they commit such massive resources against a species that poses no threat and offers minimal strategic value? Chancellor Vexus manipulated the central holographic display, bringing up tactical readouts that made several council members lean forward in their seats. The data streaming across the projection showed something that shouldn't have been possible. Council members, I share your confusion. However, the situation on Earth is developing in ways our military analysts did not anticipate. The hologram shifted to show real-time footage from the battle zone around Earth. What the Council solidified their understanding of human capabilities. Sleek vessels of unknown design were emerging from what appeared to be concealed positions throughout the Sol system. These ships moved with precision and coordination that spoke of advanced tactical planning and technology, far beyond what any council member had attributed to humanity. Admiral Korath, the grizzled Zentarian military advisor, whose species had fought alongside and against most known civilizations, stood slowly. His scarred carapace told stories of 100 battles, and his voice carried the weight of hard-earned experience. What we're witnessing here should not be possible. Our intelligence indicated that human military technology was primitive, their vessels crude by galactic standards. Yet these ships, he paused, studying the tactical displays with the eye of a seasoned warrior. These vessels are employing defensive strategies and weapon systems that suggest a level of sophistication we never detected. Representative Melandra from the peaceful ethereal consortium, her translucent form shimmering with distress patterns, spoke in harmonious tones that barely concealed her alarm. Our diplomatic surveys of Earth indicated a species still struggling with basic interplanetary travel. They were fighting among themselves using chemical propulsion and primitive energy weapons. How is it possible that they've concealed such advanced military capabilities? The chamber fell silent as the implications began to sink in. Chancellor Vexus continued his briefing, his voice taking on a more somber tone. It appears, esteemed colleagues, that humanity has been far more strategic in their presentation to the galactic community than we realized. Our long-range sensors are now detecting installations throughout their system that were previously hidden from our scans. The holographic display zoomed in on Mars, revealing massive underground complexes that extended deep beneath the planet's surface. Similar installations appeared on multiple moons throughout the outer planets, each one showing signs of heavy industrial activity and what appeared to be military staging areas. The scope of the deception was staggering. Gambister Thylix's scales had shifted to a pale green, a sign of deep concern among his species. Are you suggesting that the humans deliberately misrepresented their capabilities to the Council? That their primitive appearance was an elaborate facade? The evidence suggests exactly that, Ambassador. Vexus replied grimly. What's more disturbing is that our initial assessment of the engagement is proving problematic for the Krellian forces, as if summoned by his words. An urgent priority transmission burst through the Council's communication systems. The image of a Krellian fleet commander appeared, his usually composed reptilian features twisted with something that looked suspiciously like panicked Council command. "This is Fleet Admiral Thrakos of the Krellian 3rd Battle Group. We are requesting immediate reinforcement and tactical support. The human resistance is far more substantial than anticipated." The audio crackled with what sounded like weapons fire and alarms in the background. "Our initial assault waves have been repelled, with significant casualties. The humans have deployed defensive technologies that our sensors cannot properly analyze. They appear to possess weapons that can target our vessels through our defensive shields, and their coordination suggests a military infrastructure far beyond our intelligence estimates." Council members exchanged glances that transcended species barriers, the universal expression of beings who suddenly realized they had gravely underestimated a situation. The transmission from Fleet Admiral Thrakos continued, becoming increasingly frantic. "Council Command, we need immediate tactical analysis. The human vessels are demonstrating capabilities that should not exist within their technological framework. They're using energy weapons that appear to be based on principles we don't recognize, and their defensive systems are adapting to our attack patterns in real time." Councillor Zareth's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation among her kind. "Real-time adaptation suggests artificial intelligence systems far more sophisticated than anything in our databases. How is it possible that a species we classified as emerging showed no signs of such advanced computer sciences?" The tactical displays updated with new information that sent ripples of shock through the assembled delegates. The Krellian battle fleets, known throughout the galaxy for their overwhelming firepower and tactical superiority, were not just being resisted, they were being systematically outmaneuvered and, in several engagements, outright defeated. Admiral Korth studied the battle data with growing amazement. "Look at these tactical patterns," he said, highlighting sections of the holographic display. "The humans aren't just defending randomly, they're conducting coordinated strikes that target the Krellian fleet's command structure with surgical precision." This level of tactical awareness suggests they've been studying Krellian military doctrine for possibly decades. Representative Melandra S. Form had shifted to deep blue patterns that indicated profound confusion among her people, but our cultural exchanges with Earth showed a species focused on artistic expression, scientific discovery, and what they called entertainment media. Their representatives spoke of peace and cooperation. "How does such a species develop this level of military sophistication while maintaining the appearance of naive idealism?" Chancellor Vexus called for order. The chamber erupted in concerned conversations across multiple languages and communication methods. The implications of what they were witnessing went far beyond a simple military engagement. This was a fundamental revision of their understanding of humanity's place in the Galactic Community. Council members, Vexus announced, "We are receiving additional reports from our monitoring stations throughout the galaxy. It appears that the human response to the Krellian attack extends beyond their home system." The central display shifted to show a galaxy-wide tactical overview, with new data points appearing across multiple sectors. Human vessels, sleek, advanced craft that bore no resemblance to the crude ships they had presented to the galactic community, were emerging from what appeared to be hidden bases in dozens of systems previously thought to be uninhabited or of no strategic value. Ambassador Thylex's voice carried a note of growing dread. "Chancellor, are you telling us that humanity has been establishing military installations throughout the galaxy without our knowledge? Under our very sensors, the evidence suggests exactly that. Ambassador, what's more, these installations appear to have been in place for a considerable time. Ours and archaeology experts are analyzing the data, but preliminary reports suggest some of these bases may have been under construction for over 2 decades. The chamber fell into stunned silence. The full scope of humanity's deception became clear. Councillor Zareth spoke in a voice barely above a whisper, her usual clicking completely absent. 2 decades. That means they began this expansion almost immediately after first contact, while they were presenting themselves as a peaceful exploration-focused species to our diplomatic corps. They were simultaneously conducting the largest covert military expansion in recorded galactic history. The priority transmission systems activated again, this time with an even more desperate communication from the Krellian forces. Fleet Admiral Thrakos appeared on screen, his command bridge clearly showing signs of heavy damage. Emergency lighting cast harsh shadows across his reptilian features, and the background noise of damage control teams was clearly audible. Council command. This is Admiral Thrakos. I am issuing a general retreat order to all Krellian forces in the Sol system. The human military response has exceeded all parameters. We have lost over 300 vessels, and the humans haven't even deployed what our intelligence suggests is their primary battle fleet. The words hung in the air like a physical presence. The Krellian Empire, known throughout the galaxy as one of the most formidable military powers, was retreating from a species they had classified as primitively armed. Admiral Korath leaned forward, his battle-scarred form tense with professional interest. Admiral, you mentioned a primary battle fleet. What intelligence do you have regarding human naval capabilities? Thrakos' image flickered as his ship shuddered from what appeared to be another impact. Admiral Korath, our deep space reconnaissance has detected massive energy signatures from the outer regions of the human system. Based on the scale of these signatures, we estimate they have held in reserve a battle fleet that dwarfs what they've deployed in this engagement. The power readings suggest individual vessels with capabilities that rival our largest dreadnoughts. Representative Melandra's form had now shifted to colors that indicated near panic among her species. How is this possible? Our surveys indicated a species that struggled with basic metallurgy when we first encountered them. How do they possess dreadnought-class vessels? As if in answer to the growing questions, the Council's communication systems received an incoming transmission request from Earth itself. Chancellor Vexus, after a moment of consultation with his advisors, authorized the connection. The image that appeared was of a human female in what appeared to be a military uniform, standing in it was clearly a sophisticated command center. Greetings, Galactic Council. I am Admiral Sarachan, Supreme Commander of the Terran Defense Force. Understand you have questions regarding our current military engagement with the Krellian Empire. The casual tone of her voice, as if discussing weather rather than a galaxy-shaking military conflict, sent ripples of unease through the assembled delegates. Chancellor Vexus, drawing upon centuries of diplomatic experience, managed to respond with measured calm. Admiral Chen, the Council is indeed seeking clarification on several matters. Our understanding of human military capabilities appears to have been incomplete. Admiral Chen's expression shifted slightly, showing what humans might recognize as a subtle smile. Chancellor Vexus, I believe there have been some fundamental misunderstandings about humanity's approach to galactic integration. When we first encountered your civilization, we made a strategic decision to present ourselves as we were at that moment in time, rather than reveal our full capabilities and intentions. Ambassador Thylax interrupted, his usual diplomatic decorum strained by the revelations. Admiral, are you acknowledging that humanity deliberately deceived the Galactic Council about your technological and military capabilities? Ambassador Thylax, we prefer to think of it as strategic patience. Your species, along with most Council members, have had thousands of years to develop your spacefaring civilizations. Humanity achieved faster than light travel barely 50 years ago. We felt it prudent to observe and learn before revealing the full extent of our rapid technological advancement. Admiral Chen continued, her tone remaining conversational despite discussing what was clearly a carefully orchestrated galactic scale. Deception. You see, Council members, humanity has always been remarkably adaptable. When we discovered we were not alone in the universe, our first instinct was not to announce our presence with grand gestures. Instead, we chose to watch, learn, and prepare. The holographic display behind her shifted to show a timeline that stunned the assembled delegates. It detailed humanity's actual technological progress over the past 50 years, a curve of advancement that defied conventional understanding of civilizational development, where most species took millennia to progress from basic space flight to advanced military technology. Humans had compressed that development into mere decades. Counselor Zareth managed to find her voice, though her clicking had taken on rapid, agitated patterns. Admiral, this timeline suggests technological advancement at rates that should be impossible. How did your species achieve such rapid development? Counselor, I think you underestimate the human capacity for motivated learning when we realize the galaxy contains species like the Krellians, aggressive expansionist empires with overwhelming military superiority. We became very motivated indeed. Admiral Chen gestured, and the display showed the true scope of human expansion: hidden bases throughout the galaxy, advanced manufacturing facilities on asteroids and moons thought to be barren, and a network of intelligence-gathering operations that had been monitoring galactic civilizations for decades. We studied every species, every technology, every military doctrine we could access. We attended your cultural exchanges, participated in your scientific conferences, and all the while, we were learning not just about technology, but about strategy, about politics, about the fundamental nature of galactic civilization. Admiral Korth, his professional admiration overcoming his shock, asked, Admiral, the tactical coordination we're observing in your fleet actions suggests military planning on a scale that should require centuries of experience. How did humanity develop such sophisticated strategic capabilities? Admiral Chen's expression grew more serious, though there was still an underlying confidence that was becoming increasingly unnerving to the council members. Admiral Korth, you're operating under the assumption that military sophistication requires centuries of space-based warfare experience, but humanity has been perfecting the art of warfare for thousands of years on our homeworld. She paused, letting the implications sink in before continuing. What you're seeing is not the result of decades of space combat experience. It's the result of applying millennia of strategic thinking, tactical innovation, and military doctrine to space warfare. Humans have been fighting wars continuously throughout our recorded history. We understand conflict in ways that peaceful civilizations may find difficult to comprehend. The council chamber had fallen completely silent. Representative Melanger spoke in barely audible harmonics. Admiral, are you saying that humanity's warlike nature is the source of your military superiority? Not warlike. Representative experienced your species achieved interstellar flight during periods of peace and expansion. Humanity achieved it while simultaneously managing dozens of potential global conflicts. We didn't have the luxury of developing space technology in a peaceful environment. We had to assume that any technology we developed would eventually be used for defense or offense. Chancellor Vexus, his crystalline form refracting light in increasingly agitated patterns, managed to ask, Admiral, what are humanity's intentions regarding the galactic community? Your deception raises serious questions about your trustworthiness as potential members of the Council. Admiral Chen's response was immediate and carried undertones that suggested this question had been anticipated. Chancellor, humanity's intentions have always been peaceful integration with the galactic community. However, our definition of peace includes the capability to defend ourselves and our interests. The Krellian attack has simply accelerated our timeline for revealing our true capabilities. The transmission from Admiral Chen continued, but now the context had shifted dramatically. What had begun as a briefing on an unexpected military engagement had become a fundamental reassessment of humanity's role in galactic politics. Council members, I want to be clear about something. The Krellian attack on Earth was not unprovoked. Our intelligence services intercepted communications indicating that several aggressive species viewed humanity as a convenient target for expansion, a weak, resource-rich civilization that could be conquered with minimal effort. The implications hit the Council like a physical force. Ambassador Thalek spoke with growing horror. Admiral, are you suggesting that there are other species planning similar attacks? We're planning. Ambassador past tense. I think you'll find that the educational value of today's engagement will cause several empires to reconsider their assessment of human vulnerability. As if choreographed, the tactical displays throughout the chamber updated with new information that left the assembled delegates speechless. The Krellian retreat was not just a withdrawal, It was a route human forces were systematically pursuing the fleeing alien ships, not to destroy them, but to ensure they understood the futility of returning. Admiral Korth studied the tactical information with the eye of a professional soldier. Admiral Chen, your forces are demonstrating restraint. Even in victory, you could destroy the retreating Krellian fleets, but you're allowing them to escape. This suggests a level of strategic thinking that goes beyond simple military superiority. Exactly. Admiral Korth, humanity's goal is not the destruction of the Krellian Empire or any other galactic civilization. Our goal is the establishment of clear boundaries and mutual respect. The Krellians needed to understand that attacking Earth would be costly. They now have that understanding. Counselor Zareth's mandibles had settled into a rhythmic pattern that indicated deep thought among her species. Admiral, this level of military response suggests that humanity has been preparing not just for the Krellian attack, but for potential conflicts with multiple species. How extensive are your preparations? Admiral Chen's smile became more pronounced, and for the first time, there was something almost predatory in her expression. Counselor, humanity has contingency plans for potential conflicts with every military-capable species in the galaxy. We sincerely hope we never need to implement any of them. The silence that followed Admiral Chen's statement was profound. Every delegate in the chamber understood that the galactic balance of power had just shifted dramatically. A species that had been considered a minor player had revealed itself to be potentially the most formidable military force the galaxy had ever seen. Chancellor Vexus, drawing upon his extensive diplomatic experience, attempted to navigate this new reality. Admiral Chen, humanity's revelation raises significant questions about galactic stability. The Council exists to prevent exactly the kind of misunderstandings that lead to large-scale conflicts. Chancellor, I believe humanity's actions today have actually enhanced galactic stability. The galaxy now knows that aggressive expansion at the expense of peaceful civilizations carries a significant cost. Species like the Krellians will need to reconsider their strategies, and peaceful civilizations can feel more secure knowing that unprovoked aggression will be met with effective resistance. Representative Melandra's form had begun to shift toward colors indicating cautious hope among her people. Admiral, does humanity's military capability mean you intend to assume a leadership role in galactic affairs? Representative, humanity has no desire to dominate galactic civilization. However, we will no longer pretend to be helpless. We seek membership in the Galactic Council as equals, not as supplicants. Our military capabilities exist to ensure that equality is respected. Admiral Korth leaned forward, his scarred features showing something that might have been approval. Admiral Chen, in my experience, peace is best maintained by those capable of enforcing it. Humanity's demonstration today have prevented far more extensive conflicts in the future. Chancellor Vexus called for a brief recess as the council members struggled to process the implications of humanity's revelation. When the session resumed, the atmosphere in the chamber had changed dramatically. The casual dismissal that had characterized many species' attitudes toward humanity had been replaced by wary respect. Admiral Chen, Chancellor Vexus began, the Galactic Council must consider how to integrate this new understanding of humanity's capabilities into our existing frameworks for interspecies relations. Admiral Chen nodded respectfully. Chancellor, humanity is prepared to be fully transparent about our capabilities moving forward. We believe that honest assessment of each species' strengths and limitations serves the cause of peace better than comfortable illusions. Ambassador Thylix, his scales having returned to a more normal coloration, asked, Admiral, what assurances can humanity provide that your military capabilities will not be used for aggressive expansion? Ambassador, I can offer the same assurances that any honorable civilization provides. Our actions will speak for themselves. Humanity's response today was defensive in nature. We have no territorial ambitions beyond our current sphere of influence. However, we will defend our interests and our allies with whatever force is necessary. The phrase "our allies" caught the attention of several delegates. Counselor Zareth voiced what many were thinking. Admiral, humanity's willingness to defend allies suggests you have been forming relationships with other species that the Council was not aware of. Admiral Chen's expression became slightly more guarded. Counselor, humanity has developed relationships with several peaceful civilizations that, like us, were concerned about aggressive expansion by militaristic empires. These relationships are based on mutual defense and technological cooperation. The implications were staggering. Not only had humanity been concealing their military capabilities, but they had been building a network of alliances that could potentially rival the established galactic power structure. As the emergency session concluded, the delegates filed out of the chamber with a profound understanding that the galaxy had changed irrevocably. Humanity's revelation had demonstrated that assumptions about species' capabilities could be dangerously flawed, and that the balance of galactic power was far more complex than previously understood. In the days that followed, the Krellian Empire formally withdrew all territorial claims against human space and issued what amounted to a public apology for their misunderstanding of human intentions. Several other aggressive species quietly abandoned expansion plans that had included human-controlled systems. The Galactic Council voted unanimously to grant humanity full membership with all associated rights and responsibilities. More significantly, they established new protocols for assessing species capabilities that acknowledged the possibility of rapid technological advancement and strategic deception. Admiral Chen, in her final communication to the Council, made a statement that would be remembered throughout galactic history. Humanity has learned that in a galaxy full of potential threats, the greatest security comes not from hiding one's strength, but from ensuring that strength is used wisely. We look forward to contributing to galactic peace through strength, deterrence, and the protection of those who cannot protect themselves. The attack on Earth had been intended to eliminate a perceived weak species. Instead, it had revealed the emergence of a new galactic superpower, one that had been hiding in plain sight, learning, growing, and preparing for exactly the kind of challenge that had just been defeated. The galaxy would never again make the mistake of underestimating humanity.